The Trials of Trobodon. Inspired by Mackenzie Yeager, and written by Harrison Dirks. Chapter 3, Birth of the Oracle. "Well, what are you waiting for, travelers?" shouted Ezekiel. Trobodon awaits. Being the strongest of the group, Caleb approached the portal. Gazing into the light, he saw his reflection. He saw his reflection with no beard. He had to give up his beard. Caleb stepped into the portal. Lights twirled around him, and he suddenly lurched forward. He closed his eyes, as the light was too much for him to bear. He felt the presence of a powerful being searching his soul, but Caleb was not afraid. As quickly as he entered the portal, he felt himself emerge once again. As his eyes adjusted to his new surroundings, he saw a blurry image of a tremendous architectural structure in front of him.
"Caleb, you must hurry. Remember why you were sent first,"
echoed a disembodied, but vaguely familiar voice. The pillars, Caleb thought to himself. Turning around, he saw the purple glow of the portal, and two massive stone pillars, one of which was beginning to slip back into the ground below. He rushed forward to grab the pillar and held it steady. It was heavy, but Caleb was stronger. He stopped the pillar from sliding with ease. On the other side of the portal, David stepped forward. He took one look into the portal, sighed, and walked straight through. As he emerged on the other side, Caleb felt a slight change in the pillar's weight. "What did you have to give up?" asked Caleb. "I can't quite remember, but I suddenly have a strong craving for nicotine," said David as he grabbed hold of the other pillar. Harrison was next. Approaching the portal, he watched in horror as images of his boat, his fishing poles, and him casting flashed in the light. Fishing was the price he had to pay to cross. He found it ironic, as it was his fishing skills which got the ball rolling on this interdimensional quest in the first place. He stepped through. David and Caleb grunted as the pillars grew incredibly heavy. They held steady with all their might, and awaited the next traveler. On the other side of the portal, Mackenzie approached the pillars. Her eyes began to water as she saw what the portal showed her. But there was no turning back now. Mackenzie knew she had to stay strong for the group. After all, it was her that led her friends on this journey to begin with. She stepped through the portal and emerged on the other side. Elsa, standing at the gate of the portal, turned and looked at Miles. "Oh, Miles, my sweet honey bunches of oats. I don't know if I can do this," she told him with tears in her eyes. Miles replied, "Babe, you are the strongest, most courageous woman I have ever met. Well, besides Grace, I mean, she turned into a f***ing oracle. You can do this. I will be right behind you." He embraced her with his rippling biceps, and they shared one final handshake on Earth before she stepped through the portal. Immediately, Caleb and David felt a tremendous weight add to the pillars. Even with their behemoth-like strength, the pillars were beginning to slip from their grasp. Miles, standing next to Ezekiel, took a deep breath and approached the portal. But when he saw what it showed him, he stopped in his tracks. It was exactly what he feared it would be. It was the Kansas City Chiefs. As Elsa emerged from the other side of the portal, she realized that Caleb and David were struggling to keep the pillars from sliding down. She looked back through the portal, expecting to see Miles right behind her. Instead, she saw him standing paralyzed on the opposite end. "I can't hold it much longer," Caleb grunted. "Miles, what is it? What's wrong?" Elsa yelled back through. The look in his eyes told her everything she needed to know. He couldn't do it. As realization set in, she attempted to run back into the portal. Mac and Harrison held her back as she screamed for Miles to follow her. It was to no avail. Her screams fell on deaf ears. "Hold her!" Harrison yelled to Mackenzie as he let go and reached into his pocket. Pulling out a fishing rod which seemed way too big to fit in his pocket, Harrison prepared to cast a line to Miles in an attempt to pull him through.
"Halt, mortal!"
yelled a voice from above. Harrison looked up to see a floating woman in a black cloak with glowing purple eyes. It was the Oracle.
"This is his trial, not yours. Heed my words, or pay the sacrifice."
Ignoring the Oracle's warning, Harrison attempted to cast his fishing line through the portal and pull Miles through. Unfortunately, as he had to give up his knowledge of fishing to enter the kingdom of Trobodon, he ended up just launching the entire fishing rod back through the portal. Miles broke from his trance as a fishing rod drilled him in the head. Seeing Elsa with tears in her eyes on the other side of the portal, he knew what he had to do. Miles stepped into the portal.
"You fool! I warned you not to interfere. You will pay."
The Oracle thrust her arms forward, and a powerful wave of energy threw Caleb and David away from the pillars. The pillars began to sink. "Miles!" yelled Elsa as the portal grew unstable. It was as if time stopped. Elsa reached out a hand for Miles, and he desperately reached for her. The portal collapsed. As the pillars fell, so fell Miles. Elsa watched as her lover fell away from the snow-covered summit of Pikes Peak and faded into the darkness.
"Harrison, you pathetic mortal!"
cried the Oracle.
"I grant you passage to the dimension of Trobodon, and this is how you thank me? By questioning my power? You will never set foot in Trobodon."
Whoa, Grace. Don't you think you're being a bit dramatic? The Oracle closed her eyes, and a gleaming white staff with an amethyst point appeared in her hand. She pointed it at Harrison. "Grace, it's me, your brother," cried Harrison.
"I am no longer Grace."
The amethyst crystal at the tip of her staff began to glow. The Oracle opened her eyes to reveal two burning purple spheres.
"I, the Oracle, Judge of souls, and ruler of Trobodon, sentence you to an eternity as the gatekeeper of this portal."
A beam of purple light shot from her staff straight into Harrison's chest. He screamed out in agony as his body was lifted off the ground and began to glow with a bright white light.
"Let this be a message for those who ever try to challenge me again. Turn against me and you will lose everything. Your memories, your name, and your life."
Harrison's body dropped limp to the ground. Mackenzie sank to her knees in shock of what she had just witnessed. She was the one who had led everyone on this quest, and now two of her friends were dead.
"Now rise, gatekeeper, and assume your post."
To Mackenzie's surprise, the limp figure on the ground slowly stood up. Looking around at the group of travelers, he didn't seem to recognize any of them.
"Gatekeeper,"
bellowed the Oracle.
"from this point on, you will no longer be known as Harrison. He is dead."
Mackenzie wept. A staff similar to that of the Oracle appeared in her old friend's hand. The Oracle continued.
"And now, gatekeeper, you assume the name of all the gatekeepers before you. Protect this world and remember your oath. From now until the end of time, you shall be called Trobodon."